Man. And in the process of them trying to determine the difference between what's good, what's God, and what's evil, they recognize that God has the ability to take what they are attempting to make good and teach them and train them so that it could actually become the good that he had in mind. Isn't this why he gets upset with Cain? And he says to him, why did you kill your brother? Did you not know that if you would have leveled up, I know you thought you had a good sacrifice, but it wasn't good enough. But I'm not just going to leave you in the area of it not being good enough. God says, I'll also get down there in there with you and teach you how to take what you thought was good and make it better. God knows how to take good. God knows how to take evil and turn it into good. I hate to use the word turn it. Pastor Phil pointed out something in Genesis 50 and 20, that we always say that enemy, you meant it for evil, but God turned it for good. But that's not what it says. It says you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. There were two intentions that were happening at the same time. So when we say that God turned it, it makes it seem like it did start off evil, but then God turned it around. No. Genesis 50 and 20 actually points out that it's not that God turned it. It's just all while they thought it was evil, I actually thought it was good. I'm reminded of Jesus on the cross when he said, forgive me, Father, for they know not what they do. They think that they're doing something that's good, but I actually know that it's going to be even better, because when you get finished with it, they think it's evil, but when you get finished, they're going to see that it was actually good. There is something powerful about knowing that there were two intentions moving at the same time. And so I want to know, Potter's House, which narrative are you going to buy into? Are you going to buy into the narrative that the Lord, that they meant it for evil, and there's a period on what they meant for evil, and that if God's going to change it, he's going to have to turn it? Or are you crazy enough to believe that God doesn't even have to turn it? That even, oh God, I know you mean one thing, but God means another thing. So you can keep your intentions. God doesn't have to change it. You can mean it for evil. God still means it for good. You can talk about me all you want to, but God still means it for good. I didn't have to get the job. It felt like it was evil that I didn't get the job, but God must have meant it for good. It felt like it was tragic that I went through the breakdown, but God meant it for good. I gotta hang on to this truth that God meant it for good, because my mind is trying to convince me that God meant it for evil, or that God was not in it at all. But I am reminded, because of who he is, that he knows how to allow the wheat and the tare to grow up at the same time. And it is not until harvest season where the threshing floor will make the difference. The threshing floor is when we will separate what you meant for evil, my God meant for good. You thought I was going to stumble, but God says I'm going to pick you up. You thought it would kill me, but God says I know CPR. You're right, it took me out, but he's got resurrecting power. You meant it for evil. It's not even what I'm preaching about. What's up? God. Yeah, I don't even know what that's about. But it feels like somebody got breakthrough. It feels like I'm trying to keep it tight, because we got a journey to go on. So I'm going to give somebody about 10 seconds to thank God that it's two intentions happening at the same time. You're right, it's evil, but God said you're also right, it's going to be good. You're right that it's terrible, but it's also going to be good. You're right that it's painful, but it's also going to be purposeful. I got two things working at the same time. You're right that you're at the end of your rope, but God says I'm about to give you some wings. I got two things working at the same time. If you don't break down, I can't build you up. I got two things working at the same time.